Okay, this is the second video on my VG30DE 300ZX swap into a Nissan 1990 hardbody. That's the second video I'm doing on it. Let me show you some more points of interest on this thing. I don't know if you can really tell on this side, but down there I've got some aftermarket headers on there. And to be able to make them clear, I do some crazy business down here. Notching the frame. There you can see where I reinforced it with some plate steel. There's the header pipe that I made connecting to the exhaust flange down to the headers. There you can see some of the plates that were welded on. Doesn't look great, but I think it should hold. I just tried to weld the crap out of it. And that was when I had just switched to a new welder that I wasn't familiar with in my shop. But we'll see. If the frame breaks in half, then it's time to get a new project vehicle. But should be plenty strong for what we're using it for. Here's the exhaust. I did some 90-degree bends on those flanges, some turbo mufflers. I like to use flex pipe on my exhaust systems, and that way the engine can kind of move a little bit and not stress the rest of the system. And then you can kind of hard mount your stuff. These are just temporarily in here, so don't drive the neighbors next to the shop crazy with stirring it up and stuff after work. I usually come and work on the truck after I finish a 10 to 16 hour day, and I try to do a few hours in this. This is the, I'll flip this over, look at the front of the truck. That's the cross member that goes under the engine. I had to rebuild this to be able to make it clear the oil pan, because the other one was way too deep going this way. So what I did is I took the main piece, I cut a center chunk out of it. Then I got some thick wall 1x1, just because that's what we had. And then I got some plate, and I plated it there and there. Tried to make it strong as possible. And then while I was doing it, I drilled out some holes in 3 spots going along the front and welded in nuts, so I can later on attach a skid plate to the bottom of this, and that will just screw right in there. So that will make life a little bit easier. And a little bit of what's going on inside the cab. I ended up having to remove the dash to be able to put the correct clutch pedal in, because I was doing an automatic to manual transmission swap on the truck and on the engine that I put in. So in here I had to add a clutch pedal. The first one I picked up was for a Pathfinder. I was told it would work, but it did not. I had it mounted in there and it just would not bleed. It has less throw. To bolt it in here, you have to really get out the whole dash. And I was planning on redoing the dash anyways, so it was a good time. I tore it out. Here's my shifter coming from the 300ZX transmission. That's just the plate that covers the automatic transmission. Cut a little bit of a hole in it, and I did a couple bends. I don't know if you can see there that the shifter is on a quick release pin. I just did that for fun. I can take off my shifter and swing it around over my head if I feel wacky. All I did is took a porta band, cut down the aluminum shift rod coming out of 300ZX transmission. Slid it down over that, drilled a hole through it, add the pin, and then got some, whatever that is, 3/8 rod, heated up, bent it in a couple spots. I think I'm going to have to do another bend. I left it kind of long because I think I'll have to put another bend in at some point to get it close to the driver, so you can change gears without having to lean forward. That's the new axle that's going to go in there at some point. I have around here a rubber boot that I yanked out of a vehicle at a junkyard. I can't find it right now. But that's going to go to cover that hole, just to make it all nice and tidy. and then it's going to be on to my wiring system. You can actually see the conduit right here that I ran my hot lead through, some welding cable to the battery, which is in here, not strapped down. It's going to have a second battery attached to it and a relay system, and that will run the accessories. And then in a constant state relay, that way if I want to run the accessories of that truck on, it won't kill the main battery. Here's a little bus bar I threw together with some stuff I found around the shop, some thick bulletproof Lexan and some round stock that I milled down a little bit. So it's a nice little temporary. About the wiring, what's going on here is it's not as bad as it looks. This is the harnesses. I took the harnesses and peeled them open and pulled out a lot of the wiring that was in them. So I have my computer here, and I have running the auto computer right now. Just so if I fry it, it's not a big deal. I have a Jim Wolf ECU that I traded somebody some parts for off the initial project car, but this CLS wiring will just come out. I don't know if I want to mount it inside the cab, or I might make a box under the fender or something, but I don't want to have it in the cab right now because we get a lot of homeless people down where my shop is, or my workshop that they let me use, and they'll rip out all the wiring if they can see it to recycle. So it's all kind of jammed under here, but in the future this area here will be empty. I can mount something here, or I might set electrical here. I don't know what I want to do. But I noticed in my last video the wiring just looked like absolute crap, and it's not going to stay that way. This stuff's temporarily wrapped, so in case I need to delve into it again. Also, tonight if I have a chance, I'm probably going to pull out the temperature sender, or a fan switch. I also have the temperature sender here. I need to pull this guy out and see. I might have to drill, I guess I'll have to drill and tap a hole there so I can run a mechanical water temp gauge. I might not do that tonight because that's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. But I'll screw around with the fan and see if I can get the fan to kick on. I ran a jumper on that one. That should have, this first one here, I ran a jumper on there, and that should have kicked on the fan, did not. But I'm not sure what's going on with my relays and stuff like that. It was a while ago when I rewired all these, and it took a bit of guesswork. Oh, and since my last video, I remember I talked about the going to a manual system instead of the brake booster. So I climbed under here and drilled a new hole higher up on my brake pedal so I have more leverage. That's kind of weird. Hopefully I didn't screw anything up, but that was my attempt to change the ratio, because manual brakes, the hole's normally up about an inch, inch and a half. And I custom made and turned out on a lathe a bolt that I'm using as the push rod in there. Hopefully that's a strong enough bolt. I think I used a grade 8. I'll have to check, but I'm not real fond on the idea of messing around with the brakes, but there was just no room. I'm going to do a flat piece of aluminum for the dash, I believe. Could put some turns in it and stuff like that, but we don't have a brake or anything here, so it might be kind of tricky. But I was thinking about doing some 1x1 thin wall box steel, build up a little frame, lay the panel of the dash on there with some bolts so I can pull it off, and then I'll start drilling holes in it. The problem is I want to also take off the windshield. I always thought the D21's windshield was way too much like a car's. And this glass is expensive. If I put a flat 2-piece window or 3-piece window in there with some angle iron and some dense foam to insulate it, and then just got safety glass with the plastic sheet on the inside in between the two panes, the replacement piece of glass would be next to nothing if I got a crack, and this one's already cracked. But then I would run into the issue of the windshield would be, if it was up like this, it would be way too far forward, I believe, and not really give me any wind protection. So I'm holding off on that right now. I also need to redo the front bumper, and something that's kind of amusing, what I did to my rear bumper. I don't know if you can see that, but I just bent it all to hell trying to move it with a forklift a while ago. Of course, it was the last time I was moving it before the drive shaft was hooked up, and the front wheel grabbed on a corner and I destroyed that rear bumper. So I'm going to have to bump up my schedule of redoing the rear bumper. Also, you might notice that the front wheels are at a horrible angle, and you might even be able to notice that the bump stops are probably touching or very close to it. Yeah, they're awful. So I'm going to have to crank down the torsion bars. I don't know if this engine is a little lighter or that it took out some crap and now it's lighter, or what's going on, but can't really drive it like that because it'd be very unsafe. And it looks kind of bad. Also, these, I throw on some 33s here, and they're hitting something horrible in here. So I don't know if I'm going to try to heat this up and sledgehammer it out of the way, or switch to smaller tires. I put some spacers on there. I don't know if that's part of the problem or if that's part of the solution, but we shall see. So I guess that's it for tonight. I'll post more if I get any questions or if I think of anything new and interesting I've done. All right, thank you.